Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and today it's my pleasure to introduce one of our newest industry supporters, Jolt. But actually, it's sort of a weird thing to introduce a new person when you're actually talking to well, I don't want to say old person, but when you're actually talking to somebody that you've known a long time. So I want to introduce the Chief Revenue Officer of Jolt, Bob Gibson. So Bob, welcome to the IFBTA and welcome to Jolt as well.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate it. And as always, love the IFBTA. You guys do some really great work and very excited to be a part of it.
When you joined, you said you did your homework, and it's got to be like a really big thing to spend 20 years at Micros and Oracle, big company, right? And I think that Jolt's probably not as big. Okay, but you take a risk and you say, and you did your research and you said, okay, I think they have some legs here. This is something to do. Is there something that surprised you once you got there and you said, like, aha, I never thought of this, but, and then, is there anything that surprised you, that you either learned that they had or that you realized that they could do?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I think the first thing is just how quickly, because they're not the size of Oracle, development can get product out. That was like illuminating to me. We could get a request in, we could react to the market, and in 30 days have a version that's going to do what we needed it to do. That has been just phenomenal. And as we look at what we're learning from our customers and what their needs are, we're quickly able to adapt that into our roadmap and get product out pretty quickly to fit that need. The other thing that really surprised me, and it shouldn't have, but it does, is that a company like Jolt has a great ability to utilize current technology and tools, where a legacy company is kind of stuck in some of the technology that you have.
Well, because of the way that you're built, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And in order to deploy, does it take a lot for somebody to implement and deploy? Do they do it themselves? Do you guys do it? Is there a lot of training involved? How's that? How easy is it to go ahead and put it in?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's relatively simple to do. It's a day's worth of training, and then you can roll it out yourself. But we do think that as we go more up market, more enterprise, we'll need to scale and probably subcontract out some of that work, especially on the international side.
So international is always a tough thing, right?
Yep, that's always a tough one, right?
So, when I think about some of the challenges that face the market in certain areas where they're heavily regulated, or not, actually, and you think about things like anything to do with labor, you really have to know the laws state by state, county by county, city by city, right? Do you face those same sorts of regulations and needing to pivot and change and stay up with things, when it comes to food safety?
We do. We've got a team that's all they do is they scour the new regulations or rules coming out. One of the areas we're really interested in right now is food tracing from source to table. That's a really interesting segment of the market right now. We're spending some resources kind of understanding how that works and how we can fit in there. If you kind of think about it, the full 360 view, you pick the coffee bean in Costa Rica, it gets to a local coffee chain here. Where does that go? How do we trace that all the way through?
So you're looking at the food safety side of that.
Yeah.
And the tracing of it, because we have some other partners that have been taking a look at that in supply chain. And they always use the coffee bean example, by the way. And maybe they picked that because people like Starbucks are advertising what, micro farm, that it came from, right? But it seems that consumers also want to know that information. So you were talking about consumer facing before. Does that kind of application in the Jolt world end up for the consumer as well, where they actually can see and trace it?
That would be the plan, is to make that available. And then it's up to the individual corporation whether they want to do that or not. But I think where we're going as an industry and as a culture, that's going to be really important data. And it's a great marketing opportunity, I think, for folks. And I think in general, when things like this happen, the way to react to it is proactively and not reactively. And that's why we think you just need to be out there and taking pride and and taking credit for the great things you're doing as an industry.
Well, the one, you know, you don't want to say that it's a favor, but the one thing that happened that was in your favor in this is a lot of times when people have great ideas for our industry and they're in areas that people don't quite understand, you spend all your time and money educating the industry. In this particular case, the industry got educated really quickly. And so people are now aware for the need, you know, and the applications, and you're sitting there saying, but we already have this.
You're absolutely right. My number one goal when I came in and put my plan together was brand recognition. And part of that brand recognition was also education to the industry. And that certainly got accelerated over the last few years.
Which is why one of the first phone calls you made was, hey, I need to join the IFBTA.
Exactly.
and actually, that is almost how it went, because I remember you calling me about that and you're saying, all right, what do we need to do here? And, you know, it's a great thing when those things happen. So, so look, I mean, it sounds like it's a great opportunity for you. The company was positioned at the right place at the right time. And what I've learned from this conversation is, first of all, that there's the tie-in to products. There isn't as much overlap, but people know that they need it. They need to get the standards here. And actually, you know, if somebody were to say, you know, the world is open to you, it really is. And you see that expansion globally. And certainly as people are now learning, food safety needs to be global. Right. And so you really, you know, hit things, and using that experience and going forward, I think, you know, turns out to be a very good thing for the industry.
Yeah, we're really excited. You know, I do believe there's a paradigm shift going on right now. And, you know, again, not to age myself, but it does feel a lot like it did in the late 80s, early 90s when we made that big jump. And it's exciting to be on the wave again, right? So.
Well, listen, you know, we are really pleased to have Jolt as a industry supporter of the IFBTA, and also to make us a place of choice, you know, as you made that jump yourself in there. And it's been a lot of fun to do the webinars and things with you guys and sort of hear what you're doing. You are hitting a unique part of the market, and the IFBTA and our membership obviously has a lot to learn from you. And we really appreciate the support.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate it. And really appreciate all the IFBTA does. I mean, I've known for years it's a really valuable asset that folks need to take a part of. And I'm proud that we've been with you. I've been with you for quite a long time. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. So Bob Gibson from Jolt, and I'm Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and this is part of our Meet the Members series.